What I believe is the first chapter of Jedi Battle Scars was just released on StarWars.com. It is about Cal working to infiltrate a hidden base belonging to the nefarious Haxian Brood crime syndicate. Getting there, however, is a real challenge. I thought it would be fun to do a dramatic reading of this chapter, so if you want to hear my very bad voice acting, keep watching. Today was going to be a good day for the Jedi. Jedi Knight Cal Kestis was going to make certain of that. Sure, it was possible that he was one of maybe only 2 Jedi left, but those Jedi, they were going to have a good day. "Hey buddy, things looking clear?" Cal asked, his voice reverberating in his ears inside his helmet. From his back, Cal heard 2 little taps from his droid, BD-1's way of communicating with him while on a stealth mission. Cal could hear BD-1's trills via comms, but sound was risky while sneaking, and the droid often preferred to communicate by a more rapid and tactile method, knowing the rest of the crew couldn't understand him anyway. "Thanks, BD. Have I told you lately you're the best?" A pause then. Tap. Cal laughed. "Well, this is me telling you. I won't slack off on it again." Tap tap. A damn good day. Which wasn't usually the case when a guy was crouched on a small, fast-moving space rock hurtling around a large asteroid in the middle of deep space. But Cal's life wasn't usual, and he preferred it that way. Kitted out in a full spacesuit, Cal took stock of his surroundings, breathing in recycled air slowly and steadily as to not waste it. The orbital debris field circling the asteroid was dense. Cal had to make his way, leaping, shard by rocky shard, each one a step closer to the main asteroid at its center, a massive excavated rock, home to a Haxian Brood base Cal and his crew were currently attempting to infiltrate. Ironic, considering the last time Cal had been around a Brood base, he'd been trying to break out of it. That time, on Ordo Eris, he'd been captured. This time, the better move was to get someone on the rock first in order to disable the security system so that nothing would pick up the Stinger Mantis, Cal's ship, entering from orbit. And the best way to do that was for someone to hop from tiny rock to tiny rock all the way down to the surface of the big rock, from one moving asteroid to the next, flying through space without a tether. No problem. Taking a deep breath, squinting his eyes in concentration, Cal bent his knees before pushing off from another craggy rock beneath his boots. It didn't take much out here. One jump and Cal was... airborne isn't the right word. Without atmosphere or air to be found, it was more like floating, different from flying entirely. When Cal pushed himself into the air with the Force, he always felt that swoop in his stomach, the familiar lurch of his still very human body, alerting him to the fact that he was far, far too high above land for good sense. But out here in space, this felt more like swimming, forward propulsion, his body with no concept of up or down, right or wrong, too high or too low, forward, floating, only. He missed that little swoop. Cal aimed himself towards the next fragment asteroid, soaring straight for it with purpose, slowly but surely. The first time his master, Jaro Tapal, had taken Cal out into space, he'd told his Padawan, "Once you set something to motion in space, it will continue to move in exactly that way, the same direction, and at the same speed, unless acted upon by an unbalanced force." Today, for whatever it meant, Cal was that unbalanced force. Arms straight out in front of him, Cal's hands scrabbled for purchase the second they made contact with the next floating fragment. Cal's impact sent the little asteroid and him spinning. He hung on for dear life until, after what felt like 10 minutes but was surely just a few seconds, BD engaged Cal's gripped-on boots, and, magnetically driven, they came slamming forward into the rock, stabilizing the Jedi. Shakily, Cal let go of the rock and slowly returned to a standing position. He was glad this was his second-to-last jump. He was used to swinging around from handhold to handhold, making giant leaps of faith first as he worked as a scrapper back on Braca, and then as he infiltrated one shady Imperial facility or another over the years. But for some contrarian reason, the pull of gravity was a comfort to Cal. Did it mean if he missed a jump where his climbing claws failed him that he'd go plummeting to the ground in almost certain death? Sure. A little bit, probably. But it also meant that he wouldn't be condemned to die floating away alone in the void until he became a dried-out but freakishly well-preserved Jedi-sicle. That was way, way worse. Did you live? Marin's voice crackled to life over Cal's comms. Her accent and often wry way of speaking made the question come off glib, like she didn't really care about the answer one way or another. Did you hear something, BD? Cal asked his droid rhetorically, knowing Marin well enough to know that the sound of his voice over comms would be enough of an answer to satisfy Marin's sarcastic but still genuine question. Sounded almost like someone who was worried about us, he added in a sing-songy voice. Must have been your imagination, Marin responded contemplatively. But there was a beat of silence as though she were deep in thought. Yes, next time we're hard for credits, we'll just drop you in a cantina. You'll survive. Hey, a voice interrupted, Grease. If anybody's gonna be making tips for their looks around here, it's me. You bipeds don't appreciate what a catch I am to those with real taste out there. A flurry of taps was the response from Cal's back. He made sure to momentarily turn off his comms before he let out his laughter. If we're done, crew. Sear's more serious, Cal's favorite way of thinking of his mentor and Jedi Master, voice commanded attention, even over the comms. Cal, how long until you make landfall and can grant us access? Back to business, then. Always. Now on the precipice of entering the Brood's base, Cal took another moment to survey the situation in front of him. This wasn't a typical mission. None of the Mantis crew's exploits were, he supposed. But even for them, this was a bit of a reach. You can read the rest of the excerpt over on StarWars.com. Link in the description. So what did you think? Are you even more excited to read Jedi Battle Scars just like I am? Check down below for a link to pre-order the book. And thank you guys for watching. May the Force be with you. Goodbye.